Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys. And this message, it reads like this. Hello, my brother. How are you? I am a lady who is aged 28 years old. I have my own story that I want to share with you. It is a story about my life. Well, my brother, soon after the passing away of my father, at that time I was only 15 years old. That was when I went to the city. I was taken by my auntie, who was my mother's younger sister. So she was staying in the capital city. She took me and she said that there was this other woman who wanted a maid. So I then started working for my auntie's friend. It then happened that at the place where I was working, there was this other house, which was the pastor's house, which was across the street. So these pastors, they had their son who was in Bible school. He then graduated at the time when I was 16 years old. When that guy started inviting me at their church, I started going to their church. And one night when we were coming back from church, I was in his car. That was when we kissed and we fell in love. But when he tried to tell his parents that he wanted to marry me, then the pastor and his wife said that it could not be done because already they had spoken with another pastor and they wanted that pastor's daughter to get married to their son. So my brother, me and that guy, we continued with our relationship, but we were doing it in secret. That was when he got this idea that if he can impregnate me, then the parents were not going to deny me. But after they had found out that I was pregnant, they chased me away. I then returned back to the village, but this guy, he was very faithful to our love. He came and he said that since his parents had refused, he was going to look for one of his uncles who was his mother's brother, so that they can come and pay for my bride price because he loved me. It then happened that on the day when he was supposed to come and pay for my bride price, my boyfriend, he then had an accident and he suffered a broken leg. And from that day onwards, the mother kept on saying that I was a witch, and our relationship, it was a curse in his life. But we loved each other, my brother. Because of the stress, I then started bleeding. And by the time that the guy recovered, I started staying with him. But his parents now, they were the ones that were taking care of us, but they were taking care of us in secret. They told us that we were never supposed to come to their church again because they didn't want all of the church members to know that this was the sin that we had done. We moved out of Harare and we were staying in Chivu town. That is where we were staying. They were renting a place for us there in town. Then my brother, what then happened was that this guy from Norway, one night when he came back, I just smelled that there was a smell of cigarette all over his clothes. I then asked him about it and he refused to answer me. Then later on, he started drinking alcohol and he was now a drunkard. So this was like my first husband. Later on, my brother, I got married 5 more times when I was still in Harare. All the men that I got married to, it was like I had luck, like getting men that love me, that want to marry me. I just have that kind of luck. But when it comes time for them to go and pay for my bride price, it is like there is a spirit that follows me whenever I date a man that is a God-fearing man. At the end of the day, once we start staying together, then the man will end up being a drunkard. When I saw that this was the situation that I was facing, I then came to South Africa. When I came to South Africa, because of desperation, I started staying with this other man. This man, he was working in the construction company, but he was also going to church. He was a Christian. The first time when I went with my friend to the church where she was attending, this guy, when he spoke with me, we exchanged numbers. Then the guy later on told me that he wanted me to stay with him. Since I was struggling to get a job, I started staying with him. This guy, I saw him transforming right before my eyes. When I was pregnant, this guy, that was when he started. There was money in that one room that we used to stay. He used to give me this money and he said that this is the money that I want to go and pay for your that I want to use so that I can go and pay for your bride price. But each and every time he will come back and he would demand and he would say, I want that money. I want that money. There was one time when I refused. This guy, he then started beating me up. At that time, I was 2 months pregnant. Then I started bleeding and I lost my second child. I have fallen pregnant twice in my life. The first time for that pastor's son, and he also beat me up soon after we had started staying in Kivu. He then beat me up so bad that I had a miscarriage. This time around, when I came here to South Africa, the guy that I was staying with, then the guy also, he beat me up when I was 2 months, and then I had a miscarriage as well. After that, I told myself that I do not want to fall in love again. I then started working for this other family as a stay-in maid. I worked there for a very long time, but at church there was another guy who approached me. He is now my 7th husband, and I have come here asking for anyone who is willing to pray for me so that at least this relationship can last. This guy, he started during this December. In December, unfortunately, me and him, we could not go back home. So he then said that he was feeling bored. We went out and we bought a small... So because we could not go back home in December, he said, let us just try to have some fun and forget about all of our problems. That is when everything started. We bought some meat, and after we had bought some meat, whilst we were passing through Pick and Pay liquor store, that was when he said, let us get in there so that we can just buy at least one bottle of beer. We then went in there in that liquor store and we grabbed one bottle of beer, and he said that it was he said that he only wanted to taste what it felt like being drunk only once in his life, since he had never drank alcohol before. So we then had our small bride. It was me, my friend, and my friend's husband. Then my guy, he was drinking his alcohol, and he said that it actually tasted really terrible, and he was never going to drink alcohol ever again in his life. But that is when all of my troubles started. After Christmas, we were supposed to go to church on the 31st so that we can wait for the new year whilst we were at church, but he then refused to go with me. When I came back early in the next morning, I then found out that the door to our room, it was opened up. At least no thief entered and stole things, because he forgot to close the door, and he was drunk like no man's business. When he woke up, I asked him what had happened. He said that he had only grabbed one bottle of Black Label and he had drank all of it. Mind you, this was a man who could go for the whole month fasting on a fasting period, but he started changing. I watched him as he slowly became like all of the men that I have stayed with, and this hurts me a lot. That is why I have come here, so that you can assist me. I am looking for anyone who can join with me in prayer, who can assist me so that I can pray for my husband, because this is like my final hope. At my age, I do not have a child, and I am in my 7th marriage, for the 7th time staying with another man, and at my age it is not okay at all. I am so tired. I am really tired. Sometimes when I pray, I just start to cry, because when I think of my situation, it is just sad. It really saddens me. And worst of all, when I think about my mom, whenever I speak with my mom, she always asks me about a son-in-law, and I am pretending as if everything is just fine. I pretend as if my husband, the man that I am staying with right now, he is still someone who reads the Bible, who goes to church, but he is now a drunkard. He has not yet started beating me, but I know that this is where our relationship is headed to. Very soon, it will start beating me up like all the men that I have dated. So the story that my mother was told by this other prophet was that at the time when I had fallen pregnant, when I was actually waiting for my boyfriend, the one who was the pastor's son, to come and pay for the bride price, all of my relatives, they were gathered at my father's compound. I then just said, let me go to the bushes, and I wanted to urinate to relieve myself. When I went to relieve myself, my auntie, it then happened that she was also coming from the bushes to relieve herself. When she saw me walking in the bushes, she then hid herself and she waited for me until I had relieved myself. She then came to the place where I had urinated, and she collected the soil that was mixed with my urine, and she went to the traditional healer, and my mother was told that the traditional healer then took a metal sheet, and then they made a small fire and mixed the soil that contained my urine, and then they started roasting the soil, and they started roasting. And when they were doing this, they were bringing bad luck into my life, so that any man that would try to get married to me, that man will just start acting as if he has the spirit of poverty on him. That is what happened to me, my brother. Currently, I am praying. I try by all means to pray to God so that God can forgive me for all of my sins and the sins that were committed by my father and my mother. If there are any sins that is making God not to rescue me in time, but I am just asking for anyone who is willing to join me in prayer, because I am tired of this life. I still have high hopes, because my husband, he used to be a very powerful prayer warrior. We used to fast a lot, me and my husband, because I knew where I was coming from. But as for now, my husband, he is a drunkard. My husband is such a drunkard whereby on weekends in the location where we are staying in a colored location where there are a lot of colors. They just know my husband. Once he is drunk, he can even remove his shirt. He will go around without wearing a shirt. Sometimes he can even remove the trousers that he will be wearing, just walking with a boxer, just showing people that he is really drunk. Here we are talking of a man who used to be very powerful when it comes to prayer, and I blame myself that I am the one who brought all of these evil demons when I entered into this relationship with him. Please, I am asking for assistance.